Hi, Jack Canfield here, author of the best-selling book, The Success Principles, co-author of the Chicken Soup for the Soul series, featured teacher in the movie The Secret, and founder of the Canfield Training Group, where we teach you how to achieve your goals and dream faster and easier than you ever thought possible. I'm here in my home in Santa Barbara to show you how to have an unshakable belief in yourself with some easy yet powerful strategies that will help you to increase your confidence, discover limitless possibility, and become an unstoppable success. And my commitment to you is by the end of today's webcast, you'll leave with a strong sense of belief in yourself and in your abilities. You know, changing your life for the better starts with believing you can do it. I want you to walk away today knowing you have everything you need to be whatever you want to be and to do whatever you want to do, no matter what your background or your circumstances are. I really want you to get that anything is possible, and my goal is to prove that to you today. We'll do that by covering some of the most powerful success principles that I teach. And these are the foundational principles you need for developing confidence and creating resiliency as you take action toward the success you dream about. I'm also going to be joined by some special guests, people who've worked with me and who've made some tremendous shifts in their lives with the strategies you'll learn today. In fact, my first guest left his super successful corporate job where he was making $250,000 a year. You're going to want to hear his story and why he gave it all up to go from a great life to an awesome life. Plus, you're going to hear from someone who went from being homeless to becoming a successful entrepreneur. Another who manifested performing for a U.S. president simply by implementing the techniques I'll show you today. And another student who achieved his goal of making $100,000 per month. Not per year, but per month. They've done it by applying these success principles, and I promise you that you can do it too. Now, perhaps you're at the point in your life where you're wondering, what now? Or maybe you're feeling a burning desire to pursue your true passions, and you have yet to create that critical shift in your thinking and your actions to manifest that vision that you have for your life. Remember, big dreams are indeed possible. Once you truly and deeply believe in yourself so that you have the confidence to take action, no matter how unfamiliar and uncomfortable it may be, amazing things can and will happen. I've seen it in my own life, and I've lived it in my own life, and I've seen it in the lives of my students. And I want to make sure you stay on until the end of this webcast because I'm going to give you a chance to take advantage of a couple of very special opportunities, including meeting me in person. I'll also give you your own personal 3-step action plan that you can put into practice as soon as we finish. So make sure you stick around for that at the end. Oh, and one more thing before we get started. You're going to want to take notes so you can write these powerful principles down. The invaluable ideas and strategies you're about to learn are truly life-changing. Okay, so let's jump into our first principle. It's believe it's possible. Now, for the last 40 years, I've been teaching people how to become more successful and to achieve their biggest dreams in every area of their life. You know, the book, The Success Principles, has 67 principles of success. And one of the most important is to believe it's possible. If you don't have this core foundational belief, you're not going to be able to take action because you won't believe you can do it, so you won't even try. Now, the thing I want you to know about beliefs is they're just thoughts that you think over and over. If you think a thought long enough, it actually gets wired into the programming in your brain so that it's like, you ever had a ball, if you go bowling, it gets in the gutter, it never comes out? Well, we're going to teach you how to make sure the ball can bounce out again, because if you thought it up in the beginning, you can unthink it and rethink it. So beliefs are simply a choice. And what's going to happen in life is you're going to get what you expect to get. If you expect to do well, you'll do well. If you expect to make a sale, you're going to make sales. If you walk into a business meeting and you think it's not going to turn out, it won't. What happens is what you expect to happen, what you believe is going to happen, what you project into the future through your affirmations, your thoughts, your visualizations are going to happen. One of my favorite quotes is by Deepak Chopra. He said, "You must find a place in yourself where nothing is impossible." And there is a place inside of you that totally believes that anything's possible. When you were a child, you believed you could climb up on the counter and get the cookies off the top shelf. You believed you could push the lawnmower. When you were 6, you were trying to drive your dad's car. We thought anything was possible and we had the ability to do it. And you've got to reconnect with that part of you that believes, like that innocent child, that anything is possible. And the reason you do is because it's true. Anything is possible. Alrighty, you ready for my first guest? It's Xander Fryer, who is someone who left a very successful corporate job to pursue his real passion. And I want to talk to you about that. You've done an extraordinary thing with your life.
Thank you.
Talk about where you were, what was going on, and then what you made a momentous decision. And as you're watching this, I want you to realize this. Everyone I talk to today is an ordinary person, not extraordinary, but they made an extraordinary choice that has now led to them having an extraordinary life. So tell us your backstory and then the story, the decision you made and how it got you to where you are.
Absolutely. So up until about 6 months ago, I was actually in the corporate world. I worked for a company called Cisco Systems, big tech company. You may have heard of them. I used to cover a lot of big name organizations like Facebook, Disney, NBC, DirecTV, kind of the list goes on. And at 27 years old, I was really successful there. It was an amazing job. And they paid me way too well. They paid me over $200,000 a year. And it wasn't like I was unhappy, and it wasn't like I was in a dead-end job. There was, kind of the world was laid out for me. But one of my mentors, after reading the Success Principles and really learning to understand, be clear why I was here and all of that, I had a lot of clarity and understanding that this was an amazing job, but it wasn't truly me. And one of my mentors, this was in the beginning of May, he asked me, Xander, what would you do if you couldn't fail? Right, and kind of that very cliche question.
It's a great question.
But yeah, and I told him, I was like, well, I know me enough to this point that I would be a leader and a mentor full time. I have no idea what that means, but that's what I would do full time. And he asked me, why aren't you doing that? And I told him, I was like, I have this very successful career. They're paying me a lot. I have this amazing path ahead of me. And I could kind of feel myself hesitate as I said that. And he basically asked me, he said, Xander, just because there's a path in front of you, does that mean you should follow that path? And just because you're good at something, does that mean you should do it? And that kind of really hit me hard. And one of the things he said after that, he said, Xander, the difference between you and me, and he's an amazing guy who travels the world, speaking at health and wellness conferences and just really doing what he loves. He says, the difference between you and me. And I said, well, you make a ton more money than I do, obviously. And he said, well, the difference between you and me is you're dreaming a dream and I'm living mine. And that was kind of the moment that I realized I did believe it was possible. I truly believed it was possible to follow my dream and be a leader and an inspire and an empower. I didn't know what that meant. I had no idea what form that would take, but I believed it was possible. And when I realized that, it meant that I was the only one holding me back from actually pursuing it. So about a week later, I actually told my manager that I was leaving Cisco. I was leaving my company for basically a hope and a dream. No idea what I was going to do. And it was hard. It was difficult because it was one of those things where I knew it in my heart, but I had no idea where I was going and I had no idea the path that I was going to travel. And I think one of the big things for me was not a lot of other people understood what I was going through and why I was doing what I was doing. But yeah.
No, I think it's important. One thing you said is that I knew I had to make a change. I didn't know how I was going to do it, but I knew I needed to do something different.
Yeah.
It would be like being a mentor, a teacher, a coach, whatever it was. And I think that's really important, that you don't have to know how, but you said, I believed I could, even though I didn't know how yet. See, and that's just a choice. Most people won't believe anything's possible until they can totally see the entire path, which rarely, if ever, happens, and therefore they never make the leap. So you made the leap. Then what happened?
So the last day that I worked at Cisco was July 31st, 2016. I took about 4 days and just kind of ditched my cell phone, hung out with family for a bit to really just disconnect and allow myself to kind of marinate in what has been. On the 5th day, I actually picked up the phone and called your office. I had no idea about Breakthrough to Success or Train the Trainer or anything like that, but it really was the work that I had done through the success principles that allowed me to get to this point. Kind of the rest is history. I've spent the last 6 months just really living the success principles and living what I was taught at Breakthrough to Success. And, now 6 months later after that, almost 7 months later after that, I'm absolutely, I can say 100% living my mission, living my purpose as a certified success coach and corporate speaker. I'm making more money than I ever made in Cisco, which I would have never predicted could have happened. But I think that's what happens when you are truly resonant with who you are. It just ends up working out for you like that.
I think you said something earlier when I talked to you about chasing the image versus chasing the experience. Talk about that real briefly.
So I think the thing for me when I was in the corporate world, I was chasing success, but success to me was it was an image, it was the income level, it was a title, it was these promotions, and I would get all those things. But with that, I was also still left a little bit empty and a little bit unfulfilled with each promotion. Yeah, you get really excited. It's kind of like a video game, but then after that, you're just left wanting more, right? And what I realized when I stopped chasing the things and I started to chase the feeling of success, this deeper, centered feeling of success, you really started to get that fulfillment and that true satisfaction in what you're doing. And one of the amazing things with that is the income and the title and all of the rest just comes rushing in with it.
Yep.
But you're doing it while doing something that you love and that you're passionate about and is your true purpose. And that was absolutely amazing.
Well, you're a great example of just believing it's possible, believing in yourself, taking the action, and actually producing the result. And congratulations
Thank
on
you
your
so
success.
much.
Thanks for sharing that with us today.
Absolutely.
All right, very good. Well, as you see, you have to believe in yourself first and then just dive into it. You won't always see the exact path, but if you believe it's possible and you start taking action, the path will show up in front of you. Okay, so let's go into our next principle, which is believe in yourself. You see, if you don't believe in yourself, you're not going to be able to believe that all this is possible for you. Because there's a distinction here we have to make. Believing it's possible is one thing. Possible for someone else, but not for me. But you also have to believe it's possible for you. I really hit this hard at my events, especially at my 5-day Breakthrough to Success training, where I help people find, pursue, and align themselves with their passion and their true purpose and the goals that will help them achieve that. So the next guest I'd like to introduce you to is my business partner for 28 years, Patty Aubrey. She's been the president of the Campfield Training Group, the president of Chicken Soup for the Soul Enterprises, where she oversaw 235 titles being published, and 12 of which she co-authored with me. So welcome, Patty.
Thanks.
You're welcome. So believing in yourself and believing that it's possible, I think back to Chicken Soup for the Soul. We were, as many people now know, rejected by 144 publishers, but we believed in this project. We believed it was possible. We were told no by so many people. But I remember you telling me, even before we went out to get it published, you had people telling you it was a crazy idea and telling us it wasn't possible. Talk about that if you can.
Well, I think we started on the book in 1989, and I think it was right after I started working with you. And you came into the office and said, hey, I have this idea. All these people keep coming up to me in my talks, and they keep saying, do you have that story in a book? It was mostly women who would say, well, and you'd say, no, they're on my Nightingale Conant tapes or they're somewhere. And they'd say, I'm never in my car long enough to really listen to anything. I really need a book. And so you came back to the office one day and you said, I think the universe is telling us to take all the best stories from all the best speakers and put them in a book and do something really cool. And I was so young, and I'm really happy that I was, because I said, okay. And so we started to work on this project usually at night or on the weekends because we had a day job. And people would start to say, what are you working on? Why are you never available? Like, what's going on? And I'd say, I'm working on this book, and it's these amazing stories. And people thought, this is really weird. And I was obsessed with it because I really was so excited about it. And everyone thought I had lost my mind, and they were trying to tell me why it wasn't a good idea. And I think they were more worried about me than anything. I think a lot of times when we do anything new or different, other people are worried for us. They're really concerned. They want our best interest, but we're outside of that comfort zone. I'm no longer in this normal corporate job.
No, my dad wanted me to go work for General Electric or Westinghouse or something like that, get a real corporate job. He was freaked out that I was going to be a trainer.
Well, my dad wouldn't speak to you for the first 2 years, I think.
I'd ruined your career, right?
He ruined my career.
You came to work for this crazy guy.
Now he bows down to you and says, "Thank you, Jack."
Yeah,
but
true.
It was definitely a struggle, and it took us 4 years to do that first book.
Well, we had 2 staff people. One of them quit about it.
That's right.
Said, it's a weird title. How are we ever going to get jobs in corporations? And then our foundation director, to this day, keeps apologizing for totally not supporting us. But there's something inside you when you really know, I believe in this. I know it. I'm choosing to do it. I'm going to do it no matter what. It eventually became, I called it a divine obsession, something I couldn't not do.
Yeah.
And look at the results. It's changed our lives. We sold over 500 million books in that series now.
You're right. And it's one of those things where you're right. It's that divine piece. And I think so often we let that little gnawing thing, we ignore it.
Yeah.
Because it seems like it might be easier, but at the end of the day, it's harder. In fact, there's a great gal that I interviewed at BTS, at Breakthrough to Success this last year. She's a great example of that, Simona. Mm-hmm. And I know we have a video clip of her. It would be a great time to show that now about what's possible.
Sure, let's watch that video.
So wouldn't you say that that's a pretty amazing story? I mean, she had to really, really believe it was possible. And I saw the things that she did that were amazing. The way this woman can paint and tap and do the things that she did with her feet, it was powerful.
Yeah, Patty's referring to tapping, where you tap on acupuncture pressure points on your face and stuff. And I was teaching her this. I said, we can have someone else tap on your face. She said, no, I can do it. And she's tapping on the top of her head. I can't even get my knee up, my leg up to my knee. So it's amazing. Obviously, if you were born with no arms, you'd have to give up the belief that I can't. Or you'd just be totally a vegetable, basically. You'd never go out and try anything. And yet, most of us have all of our faculties, all of our appendages, all of the capabilities and talents we're built with, but we have that belief that I can't, which it can paralyze you. So don't let any belief that you can't do it stop you. Change it to I can. Just start repeating it over and over. I can do it. I can do it.
Well, the last thing about that too, I really think is interesting is that most of my friends would say, come over tonight for dinner, but don't talk about that thing you're working on. And then when 5 years later, after we finally, the book saw the light of day, Chicken Soup for the Soul, they're like, oh, this is my friend Patty. She's the president of Chicken Soup. I'm like, wow, fair-weathered friends.
Yeah, there you go.
So it's really important. Believe in yourself, even when your friends don't, even when your parents don't. Believe in what's coming from inside, not what's coming from outside.
Well, one of our friends, Terry Cole Whitaker, wrote a book called What You Think of Me Is None of My Business. And so I took that to heart, like not let other people's ideas affect you. And another concept here that I want to just share with you real quick is it's never too late to start. I don't care how old you are, how many failures you've had, any of that, you can start now. We've had people take our seminars that were 60, 70, 80 years old and go on to do amazing things. One woman thought her life was over. She was in her late 70s. And she even said, I was so old, all my doctors had died. And she thought, we're done. And yet after the seminar, she went out and she did cruises, she went on vacation, she took classes, she started to paint, etc. So,
well, I have a fact about that.
What's that?
The fact is that Jack Canfield didn't have a bestseller. Well, you had a bestseller in education, but Chicken Soup didn't even exist until you were 50 years old.
Yeah, 50 years old.
When I tell people that, when I tell students that, and anybody that's watching, it didn't happen overnight, and it's not too late. And people, when they hear this, they say, "Oh my gosh, I'm right on track. I'm 48. I still have time."
Yeah.
And so I think it's important because when people see what you've done, it's easy to think, "Oh, he can do that, but I can't." And they weren't here in the early days of driving a purple minivan that looked like Barney, and and it smelled like cardboard boxes from doing all the hard work and dragging curriculum guides around from gig to gig and doing all the things that we had to do to get here. But those were those little successes that allow you to build that self-confidence that sooner or later becomes, over time, the bigger thing. But they're small in the beginning.
Everyone that's ever made it to the top has had to choose to believe in himself. You probably know Venus Williams. She wins all these tennis championships all over the world. She said, you have to believe in yourself when no one else does. Get that? You have to believe in yourself when no one else does. That's what makes you a winner, she said. Well, Patty, thanks for joining us today.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it.
I had a great time.
I'm glad. Thank you. All right. Now, the next principle I want to talk about is one of my favorites. You might already be familiar with it. It might even be the reason why you've tuned in now. But if you're not, you're in for a special treat. This principle is one of the most important laws of the universe, and that is called the law of attraction. And when I first learned about this powerful law, it literally changed my life. Now, as most of you probably know, I was one of the featured teachers in the movie and the book, The Secret. And that movie and that book literally changed millions of lives around the world. But it all started with one person named Rhonda Burns who had an idea to make a movie about the law of attraction, which changed her life. And she had the hardest time getting anyone to air it. Her original idea was it would air on every television station in the world at the same time as the whole world would be exposed to The Secret. And of course, like all the things we're talking about, she didn't get a lot of agreement about that, so she had to bring it out as a DVD. But eventually, that DVD went on to show on television stations all around the world, including in Iran, where you wouldn't expect it to be on state television. It became the #1 DVD for 3 years in China. And it's been shown in theaters in Africa, all over the world. And it's literally changed millions of people in their lives and allowed them to become more and more successful. So I was very glad to be part of that and teaching that. And how I got involved with The Secret and why I was in that movie was when I was in my early 20s, I met a man named W. Clement Stone, who was a self-made multimillionaire worth $600 million. And he took me under his wing and he taught me the secrets of success, which basically were the secret. Visualization, affirmations, positive thinking, managing the vibrational state of your emotions so that you attract things that are of a like vibration. Now, that year that I learned that, he had me set a goal he said, I want you to set a goal that's so big that if you achieve it, you'll know it's only because of what I taught you. And so here I was making $8,000 a year. I set a goal to make $100,000 a year, which first I thought, this is crazy, but I'm going to do it. And I'm going to do the things he taught me. I'm going to choose to believe it and visualize it and so forth. And that year I made over $92,000, which 12 times my income. And I was blown away. And ever since then, I've been living and teaching The Secret. So what is The Secret? What is the law of attraction? Basically, it's this concept, and it is a law, that whatever you're thinking, whatever you're feeling, whatever you're talking about, dreaming about, visualizing about, reading about, and feeling strongly about, you are going to manifest that in your life. Like energy is attracted to like energy. And so what happens is you've got to be willing to focus on maintaining a positive state. So let's talk about that. I'd like to start by sharing a heartwarming story with you from someone who discovered these concepts when he saw The Secret. This is a person that was living on the street, homeless, in Spain. He was literally on the outside looking in at everyone else's success. And as you'll see by the end of the video, now he's on the inside of this beautiful Spanish villa looking at the outside to an amazing view, living a very abundant life. So take a look.
Hello, my name is Fino Menezes. I live in rural Murcia, deep in the Spanish countryside. And though it still amuses me to hear myself say it aloud, I'm an entrepreneur with multiple streams of income. I make furniture and sculpture to relax. And I've recently ventured into modelling just to see how far I can push this. I put much of my current success down to this book and associated materials by Jack Canfield. The first time I encountered the name Jack Canfield was 1st of July 2013, a significant date I shall come back to. At that time I was unemployed, broke and living in a public park in Madrid, Spain. Jack Canfield in particular resonated with me at a core level. His genuine desire to help with practical, proactive steps seemed to me to be the route map out of my situation. So I began immediately to implement what I was learning. Exactly 1 month later, on August 1st, I began a volunteering job with accommodation and now had my foot firmly on the first rung of a ladder that would bring me to where I am today. And I'm not done yet. In those early days, I hungrily devoured all and any material I could find for free on the internet by Jack Canfield, including the free chapter of The Success Principles, until the moment I was able to own my own copy. My transformational journey had an upward trajectory directly proportionate to the action I took on what I read. And at times I was almost overwhelmed at just how effective the suggested courses of action were. In all areas of my life, my professional life, my accommodation, my mental, spiritual and emotional state, all seemed to get an upgrade every 3 months or so, to the point where on July 1st, 2015, exactly 2 years after I had first heard the name Jack Canfield, I was able to hand in my notice on a fantastic job in Madrid to pursue my own defined dreams and goals. That brings me to the here and now. If you haven't yet begun to implement the teachings of Jack Canfield, I beseech you, I implore you, put any doubts or reservations you may have to one side and begin your own transformation with his help. Try it as an experiment. You'll be astonished at just how soon the real world changes become tangible. And I promise you, you'll thank yourself that you took action. See you at the top. Thanks a million, Jack.
I love Fino's story. Look at it. He went from being homeless to this beautiful residence with a view and an abundant life, making a difference in the lives of others. It is so inspiring. And I also hope it will light a fire under any of you who may have had a tough past or present or are struggling to take action and take your life to the next level. Because ultimately, what you think about, talk about, feel strongly about, and deeply believe will become your reality. Which leads me to my next point, which is just that. What you think about, talk about, believe will become your reality, will become your reality. So if you don't believe it's possible, it won't be. So you have to take time. This is the key. To start it, you have to be disciplined. You have to be disciplined. Set aside a little time every day to practice visualizing, affirming, and thinking about what it is you want to have. Because your thoughts and your energy are going to produce the effect that you see in the outer world. Someone once said that the outer world is like the computer screen that shows you what's on the hard drive inside, that hard drive being your brain. And so literally, if you want to know what's going on in here, look at what's going on out there. One of the most powerful examples of that is Dr. Masaru Emoto's work. He's a Japanese businessman and scientist, and he did some research where he took water and would put it in a bottle, have students in a class send negative energy, like I hate you, you're dumb, you're stupid, to the water. They'd freeze it. When they would bring it out and it would start to form crystals under a microscope, the crystals would be, for lack of a better word, ugly black blobs. If they sent love or appreciation or gratitude or thoughts of joy or well wishes to the water, they would take that water, put it under a slide, and it would come out these beautiful, looking like snowflakes. And it's just amazing. Your body is made up of 85% water. And that water is being impacted by the thoughts you think. And not only is it affecting you and your health and the vibration you're experiencing, but it's also attracting to you the vibration of the things that you want into your life if you're thinking positively. We now know that your thoughts send out a vibration that go at least 250,000 miles. That's the distance to the moon because of research we've done with the astronauts, which I won't go into today because we don't have time for that. But trust me, your thoughts are literally transforming or going around the world and attracting people. Could be as far away as halfway around the world into your life, opportunities and ideas and so forth. So really spend time focusing on and focusing your thoughts to be that which you want. Buddha once said, all that we are is result of what we have thought. See, teachers have been teaching this for thousands of years. Gandhi said, a man is but a product of his thoughts. What he thinks, he becomes. So all the great teachers have been teaching us this for millennia. Now, the key here is, again, focus on what you want, not what you don't want. When you're blaming and complaining, you're actually attracting more of that. So be a visionary and start focusing on what you want. Because if you believe it and you focus on it and take action on that belief, you're going to get it. Because when you believe it's possible, you open up more possibilities for the universe to attract those things that you want to you. And this all leads into our next principle, which is see what you want, get what you see, which is a fancy way of saying use the power of visualization. There's a wonderful quote by Albert Einstein where he says, imagination is everything. It is the preview of life's coming attractions. Think about that. When you imagine something, that's the preview for life's coming attractions. Albert Einstein, arguably one of the brightest, most genius people on the planet, fully understood this. Now, what is visualization? When you close your eyes and visualize something that doesn't exist yet, something you want to have in your life, what happens is it creates something in your brain we call structural tension or cognitive dissonance. I can be closing my eyes and visualizing I'm in Hawaii watching the sunset over the bay, but in reality, I'm here in Santa Barbara. But if I visualize that long enough, that's creating that tension, and I'll kind of make this simple. Your brain is going, would he quit visualizing that? Because we're here in Santa Barbara. But if I don't, eventually it goes, we better figure out how to get him to Hawaii so he'll quit doing this so we can relax. And so that's a kind of a simplistic way of saying it, but that really is how it works. And when you do that, a couple things happen. Right now, you're not aware of what you're feeling in your right foot. But as soon as I say right foot, you can feel it. Why? Because I drew your attention to it. And see, you had nerve impulses streaming up your spine into your brain being filtered out by something called the reticular activating system. So it's outside of your awareness. And there are things that can help you achieve your goals that are in your field of awareness, but you don't see them, hear them, or feel them because you're being filtered out by your current beliefs that are controlling that part of your brain, saying that's not important because you don't believe it's important. When you visualize it, your subconscious mind, all that material becomes flooding up through the reticular activating system, and you end up feeling more motivated, and the law of attraction kicks in, and you start attracting more of what you want into your life. So here's what I want to suggest to you. If you want to improve your performance in any kind of activity or achieve any kind of goal, twice a day, when you first wake up in the morning and right before you go to sleep at night, because you're in a more relaxed state for your brain to take this in and really Velcro it into your subconscious mind, close your eyes for a couple of minutes and visualize your goals, the things you want financially, relationally, health-wise, fun and recreation-wise, making a difference-wise, whatever it is. See that as if it's already occurred. And the important part is add in the auditory, that's the sounds, and most important, what are the feelings you'd be feeling if you had already achieved that? This is critical. Remember, the subconscious mind responds to pictures and images, which is why I recommend also using vision boards. Coming up later in this program, I'm going to tell you about a very special opportunity. Let's just say it's the ultimate vision board experience. But first, here's a quick story from another student of mine who used her vision board to find a way to perform at President Barack Obama's inaugural ball. So take a look.
I'm Becky Kagan, and for over 35 years, I've been working in the music industry as an entrepreneur, performer, and producer. Since studying with Jack, I've added to my repertoire success coach, keynote speaker, and #1 best-selling author. I'm based in Chicago, but today I'm in beautiful Naples leading a training. In July 2005, I read Jack's book, The Success Principles, and by the end of that year, my company's music revenues went up 20%. In 2007, I went to Jack's Breakthrough to Success seminar, which changed the trajectory of my career completely. Incorporating Jack's principles of goal setting and creating a vision board led to my band performing at President Obama's inaugural ball in Washington, D.C. in 2009. Not only was this the gig of a lifetime, it gave my band international exposure. None of this would have been possible without Jack's methodology. I will be eternally grateful for Jack for not only sharing his success principles, but for being the human being that he is. Jack exemplifies living an honorable life with compassion, integrity, and commitment.
What an amazing story. Becky Kagan, just another kind of wedding band in Chicago. They're good, but there's a lot of people that do that. But she used the vision board, having a board with pictures and words on it, and looking at that every day, closing your eyes, feeling it, seeing it, etc. And she ended up in Washington at the inauguration. So that's possible for all of us. So I'd like to ask you, do you have a vision board? It's a great place to start living and experiencing these principles. You know, my vision board right now is on the back of the door that as I leave my office every day, I look at it. If I go to lunch, if I leave, I'll go over, my office is on the property where I go to another office. So I'm looking at that 5, 6, 7, 8 times a day. And I stop purposely and look at all the images on there and imagine my success. Now here's an example of a vision board that we actually created. It looks really beautiful. A lot of vision boards I often say look like ransom notes, you know, that you get where the words are cut out of magazines and stuff. And so we decided to make something a little more upscale. Looks like this. You can open it up and you see a vision board here that one of our students has done with images of money and relationships and health and what looks like a vacation spa down here and eating good food and six-pack abs and all of that. And all these words and phrases on here like love and acceptance. I am loved. I am capable. And what you do is you want to spend a few minutes with that every day looking at it, because we know that external images become internal images and they will motivate you and inspire you and program your subconscious mind to actually bring these things into your life. So as I said earlier, stay tuned to learn how you too can create your own empowering vision board, which will get you closer to achieving your goals. But first, let's talk about the next principle, which is key to achieving your goals. And that principle is act as if. So the question you have to ask yourself is, how committed are you to your vision? You know, Patty said earlier that you have to be non-negotiable about your vision, about what it is you want. We had a lot of people telling us that Chicken Soup for the Soul was a stupid idea, the title was stupid, people didn't read books of short stories. You know, we had all the reasons. It wasn't sexy enough, it wasn't edgy enough, it wasn't urbane enough. We got told a million things. But we were committed. We would have self-published the book if we had to. Fortunately, we didn't. But you have to be 100% committed. You know, one of the principles I teach is 99% is a bitch and 100% is a breeze. Now, what that means is you've got to commit 100%. One of the things I want you to think about with this is, more than likely, you're not someone who shoplifts. You don't go into a store and every time you go in there go, should I steal something today or not? You made a decision a long time ago. You just weren't going to do that. That was a non-negotiable thing for you. If you made a marriage vow, for most of you, that's a non-negotiable. And so you want to be non-negotiable in your commitment to your vision, your dreams, and your goals. So it's really important, 100%, no exceptions, non-negotiable. So let's take a look at how this plays out in the real world with another student of mine. Camilla Carboni willed herself into an entirely new location from South Africa to the United States, which we all know right now with immigration going on is not that easy to do. But let's listen to her about how she made that happen through the use of visualization.
Hi Jack, Patty, and the amazing team at the Canfield Training Group. My name is Camilla Carboni. I'm in Denver, Colorado, and I'm a success coach in training. And I'm super excited to take your Success Principles training later this year. So I am so thankful for all the work you do. I have been following you for many, many years, reading your books, watching your videos, listening to your trainings, and you have had a profound impact on my life. And I thank you from the bottom of my heart for all the work you do. And for me being here in the United States, which is the story I want to share with you today. So I grew up during apartheid in South Africa, and I wanted to live in America, which everybody told me was absolutely unrealistic and impossible, but I refused to listen to them. After reading your book, I knew that if I wanted something bad enough and fixated my whole mind and heart on it, it was possible. And I absolutely believed with my whole heart that I could end up living my American dream. And I have. But what I did to get there was I visualized every single day. I visualized my green card arriving in the mail and how I'd feel getting it. I visualized getting on the plane and arriving in America. I visualized being sworn in as a US citizen and what my life would be like with my white picket fence and my beautiful home in America. And all of that became a reality, but it took many, many years. And one thing I also learned from you was never to give up and to lean into it and to act as if it already happened. So I made some very big choices, one of which was because I knew I had to save money in order to have dollars in my account to pay for my green card once I knew it was going to be coming my way, I organized myself a visa and I moved to Canada. I worked in Vancouver, Canada for over 2 years, and nothing happened during that time. I just kept trusting in the universe, I kept working away, and I kept saving those dollars. And sure enough, one day it arrived, my green card in the mail. And I just kept plugging away, doing what I had to do, went through the interview process, trusted it would be 100% perfect, and it was. And in 2009, I'm proud to say that I immigrated to the United States. And best of all, after becoming a US citizen about 2 years ago, I was able to sponsor my mom, who is now living her American dream as well. So I just want to say to you, thank you, and to the rest of the world, your dreams are absolutely possible, no matter how impossible society may say they are.
Now, as you can see, despite the odds and people telling her it was impossible to move to the United States, Camilla's positive attitude and her trust in the universe while using the powerful technique of visualization literally gave her her dream life. Now, there's a very effective, engaging, and super fun exercise I use at my live workshop, Breakthrough to Success, and people absolutely love to do it. The reason is it's fun and it's powerful, and it's called the Come As You'll Be Party. Now, Come As You'll Be Party is where everybody shows up pretending it's 5 years into the future. And what they do is for an hour, 2 hours, a whole evening, however long you want to make your Come As You'll Be Party, they talk as if in the last 5 years they've achieved all of the goals that they set 5 years earlier. And literally you have to be in that present moment in the year, let's say 2020, 2020, 21, whatever it is, so that you are experiencing at the deepest level what it feels like to have already achieved your goal. And this is the most powerful law of attraction generating emotion and state that you want to be in of anything I've ever discovered. And it's really, really powerful. And I encourage people to bring props, covers of your best-selling book, which you might put over another book, We've had people bring Oscars and Emmys and pictures of them with famous people that they photoshopped. One person even showed up in a tour bus and took people outside to show them their tour bus because now they were a rock star. You don't have to go that crazy with it, but it's a very, very powerful tool. In fact, our next guest is a great example of someone who acts as if and has had an incredible story to share. So welcome, Jake.
Hey.
Good to see you.
You too.
So your story to me is just off the charts. I love it. So talk to me about where you were, what happened that's led you to where you are now, because this is not the normal story. This is the road less traveled that we always hear about in that famous poem.
Yeah, so my journey began a couple days after getting to college. I started breaking out in hives and rashes almost all over my body, and it kept happening almost every day. I saw doctors, immunologists. I had the pills, creams, test tubes, and they didn't know what was wrong. And after many months, I became really unhappy, but it was like my skin was trying to tell me that something was off. I realized I was just pursuing a path that didn't align with me. I ended up taking a leap of faith to pursue my dream of travel and exploration. I hopped on a flight to Guatemala with my backpack and no phone, and I spent 4 months teaching English, experiencing different ways throughout Central America. And during that process, my skin healed. I found this sense of peace and purpose within myself, and I realized I had this story that I had to share with the world. So I had this dream to write a book about it, and I came home and I was 18 years old, by no means qualified to write a book, but I really started believing that it was possible. And about halfway through writing my first draft, I picked up this book called The Success Principles, and I started learning about visualizing and affirming your goals and acting as if you are the person you wish to become. Mm-hmm. So I recorded this thing on my iPhone where I would listen to in the mornings about that I'm so happy and grateful that I'm now this person who is traveling the world and sharing my story at high schools, and my book is a bestseller. And meanwhile, I just had a manuscript I was working on. But I started doing that every day, and what happened was I had the idea to do a Kickstarter campaign to fund my book, and I started thinking about other different ways, and I ended up attending your Day to Greatness in LA, which was one of the things that I wanted to meet you, and I ended up meeting your team and found a way that I could attend Breakthrough to Success. And that was about a month before my book was set to launch. Mm-hmm. And at Breakthrough to Success, on the Come As You'll Be party, I remember holding up this beta version of my book and saying I was this TEDx speaker and New York Times bestselling author and Amazon bestseller. And it was a pretty incredible experience to be surrounded by the energy of hundreds of people who are speaking in this vision of who they're becoming. It was like palpable energy. And just a couple months later, my book was an Amazon bestseller. I just got invited to do a TEDx talk, and one of the coolest parts about this entire experience at Breakthrough to Success was my roommate, out of the 400 people, turned out to have gone to my same high school at a different time and is now my accountability partner. And we were so inspired by the Come As You Be party that we're putting on our own spin-off event that's happening in less than a month, with 200 people putting on our Come As You Be party and this whole event, which none of it would have happened had I not started visualizing and affirming myself as the person I would become and attending Breakthrough to Success.
Wow, that's phenomenal. Good for you. Yeah. See, I love it because I could sit here and probably tell you 50 stories that I know about personally and the rest I don't know about, of people who talked about something at the Come As You Be party, and then within a year, 2 years, sometimes 6 months, it's actually come into fruition. It's so, so powerful. And you mentioned that energy that everybody has when they're acting as if. And here's the cool part. You don't have to go to a Come As You Be party to start acting as if. You can start doing that right now in your life, just acting as if you're already achieving. I'm abundant, I'm prosperous. So just talk a little bit for a moment. But here you are, you're in college. All this stuff isn't working. You've got the hives and the skin condition. And I'm not sure your parents were probably really thrilled that you were dropping out of school.
Not too much.
What was it? What was that defining moment inside of you that said, no, I am going to do this?
It's funny. I had a conversation with a career counselor. She asked me 2 questions. She said, first, what is the worst thing that could happen if you do this? Mm-hmm. And I said it, and I realized my fears probably wouldn't happen. But then she said, what is the best thing that could happen? And it was in that moment, I saw it in my head, me traveling, and even this faint idea of writing a book. And it felt so real. And this was about 2 years ago. And that was the moment I decided that I was going for it.
There's always that one moment of decision that when you make that decision, your whole life can change as yours has. Well, I love the life that you're living. I love that you're out there teaching other people to believe that they can do it as well. And thank you for sharing that with all the people that are watching this today.
Yeah, thank you
so
for
much,
the principles.
man. I appreciate it. Thank you. So as I said, when I was talking to Jake, you can start now by acting as if you can be, do, or have anything you want. You can start that today. And if you take nothing else away from this webcast today, at least walk away with this next principle, which is take action. And that's what Jake just talked about doing, taking action. And I've noticed this is where a lot of people get stuck. Now you can understand all these principles, you can set goals, and you can say your affirmations, you can do your visualizations, and you'll get inspired to do something, but if you don't take action, ultimately nothing happens. And the biggest reason most people don't achieve their goals and realize their dreams is they don't take action. And the number one reason most people don't take action is fear. And what I tell them is that fear is normal. And as soon as you experience fear, what you can do is just acknowledge you have it, know that it always shows up, but then take action. I love this, what Richard Branson said. He said, if your dreams don't scare you, they're not big enough. And so what I want you to realize is every time you start to go for what you want, because we are naturally drawn to big dreams, it's going to feel uncomfortable. It's going to scare you. But fear is not a stop sign. It's a caution sign. Pay attention. But as Jake said, you don't want to get to where you are sitting there going, okay, what's the worst that can happen? Yeah, do that. And then say, well, could I survive that? Yeah, I could. But then his counselor said, what's the best thing that could happen? And he said, wow, that was really exciting. And in that moment, I decided to go for it. So I'm sure he was uncomfortable. I'm sure he was a little scared, but so what? Do it anyway. So be willing to do what you're afraid of and celebrate being in action. When you're in fear, it means you're doing something. You're moving forward. You're going toward what you want. The fear tells you that what you're moving toward is important. Don't let the fear stop you. It's just pictures in your head of what might happen that hasn't happened yet. And so one of the chapters in my book, one of the principles we teach is, experience the fear, but go for it anyway. Don't let the fear stop you. And remember this, nothing happens in life until you take action. You've got to do something to make something happen. So literally, take action now. Nike, one of the most successful companies in the world, they realize this is the hardest part for people. And so what do? They create a phrase, just do it. You see that in so many of their advertisements. That's what you've got to do, just take action. Now, if you have fear show up, one thing you can do is just take action anyway. But now we have all these breakthrough tools, which I teach in Breakthrough to Success. We have books and audio programs, video programs on. But for instance, EFT, Emotional Freedom Technique, often referred to as tapping. By tapping on 9 acupuncture points in a certain sequence while you're thinking of the thing you're afraid of, you can actually disappear fear, often in as little as 5 minutes. And I wrote a book with Pamela Bruner called Tapping into Ultimate Success, how to use tapping to achieve any breakthrough you want. There's other methods like Sedona method, NLP. We live in a time when you should not let fear stop you. So you can check our website. We have lots of tools on that. These are things we teach in our Breakthrough to Success seminar as well. Now, another version of this principle of taking action is just lean into it. You don't have to do everything all at once. Just take little baby steps. I can remember when we started doing Chicken Soup for the Soul, I made a commitment. I was going to write 1 story every 2.5 days until I had 100 stories, which took me a year. And every night I would sit down for an hour and I would write until I had 1 story. Then I would let it sit for a day. I'd edit it. And then again, so every week I was coming out with 2 stories a week. And eventually I had a book. Okay. I'd like to encourage people to dream big and lean into it. And our next guest is a great example of that. My next guest is Austin Bauer. Hey, Austin.
Hello. Nice
Good to
to
see
see
you,
you.
buddy. Now, you've made, again, like so many people we've heard today, you were living a life, it's a pretty good life, but you decided you wanted to go from a good life to a great life. Tell us about your journey.
Sure. Well, I spent a number of years in advertising, and it was a great job. I was at the biggest agency on the West Coast, working on brands like Google, Volkswagen, Target, with a ton of creative people, smart, strategic. I was surrounded by all the people I wanted to be, and to be around. But I was burnt out and stressed, and woke up and went to sleep feeling like I was spinning my wheels every second of every day. So I basically saw two ways out. I could either leave and run away from my problems, or I could rise the ranks of this career that I didn't actually really want. So what I did was I decided I was going to leave and run off to Thailand. And I had this nice spreadsheet laid out with a budget and everything. I knew exactly how long I could last. And everybody in my life actually thought that was a great idea, except for one person. I was working with a coach, and she told me, you know, Austin, the person that you're going to be on the beach in Thailand is the exact same person that I'm looking at right now. And that was that moment where I realized that I couldn't just run away from my problems, but I also didn't want to stay on that path. So I needed some mentorship in the path that I did want to go on. And really, the only vision I had for that at the time was that I wanted to help people in a different way. Mm-hmm. So that was really how I came across some of your work, because I was at this breaking point, realized I needed a change, needed some mentorship and guidance, and really a community of people thinking differently, because I was just stuck in this one myopic kind of point of view. That was when I found your program and called some of your people and signed up.
And then what happened?
Well, I did the week, and coming out of that, it was like, so I come from production, and so if we're thinking about a camera lens, it was like I had spent years zoomed all the way in, and I could maybe see a sailboat. But after BTS, it was like I could zoom all the way out, and I could see the trees, the ocean, the clouds. I got this big picture perspective for the first time because, like I said, being around dozens or hundreds of other people in that space really was an absolute paradigm shift for me. And so I realized that there actually weren't just two options. It wasn't stay the course and rise the ranks and use money as my metric of success, and it wasn't running away to Thailand. It was using the network that I had, the people that I loved, these creative folks who were doing great work, but like I said, it was just a little bit out of alignment for me. And instead of running away from them, what I did was talk to the leadership at that agency about serving that community in a different way. So instead of being on the production side, finding a way to work with individuals to better their careers and their lives for the sake of themselves and for the organization. So what ended up happening was, in less than a year after my first day working with you, I had pitched a new role for that agency. I had sold it through, and there was a day that I left on a Friday as a producer, walked in on a Monday as a coach. So going from doing what I was burnt out on to doing what I loved and helping people in a different way, and going from 60, 65, 70 hours a week to 24 hours a week and making the exact same amount of money. So essentially tripling my income, my hourly income, which gave me and working on something that I loved, which gave me the headspace and the time and the freedom to continue to build this business. It was life-changing.
I liked what I heard you say once. You said you went from being one of the best to teaching other people how to be their best. And that was much more fulfilling for you. And that you were able to convince your boss that was a role worth doing.
Absolutely. I think without realizing it, in working with you, I realized that I am more of a supporter than being out in the forefront all the time. Mm-hmm. I think there's a place for speaking up and being the face of something, but working with you helped me look at all of the signs in my life that led to the idea that I'm more of a helper than the rock star of the thing. Right. And that was actually an incredibly satisfying and liberating thing to realize.
Yeah. You know, I know I'm thinking of this right now, but I remember reading that the three main magazines that men read are Sports Illustrated, Rolling Stone, and Playboy. Mm-hmm. And so basically, you know, sex, and then there's rock and roll, being the rock star, right, or, you know, the whole, sports hero kind of thing. Mm-hmm. And when we realize that we don't have to be these necessarily iconic images of success and can find out what truly fulfills us, that's when true fulfillment actually occurs. And you were able to make that leap.
Absolutely. And it's been interesting. You know, I feel like I was thinking really big, and this was a few years ago that I went through this with you. And over the time, when I'm finding myself not in that headspace, I can revisit the material or talk to the dozens of people that I've kept in touch with, which has been a lifesaver time and again.
That's great.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's great. Well, congratulations on finding the life of your dreams and creating it and having the courage to believe it was possible. Because that was the critical thing. You had to believe it was possible to actually go to your boss and create a new role in a company where you were already performing at a level that I'm sure they liked your performance. They didn't particularly want you to change. But you believed it was possible. You took the action and you did it. So congratulations.
Absolutely.
All right. Well,
Thanks so much for your help.
Thanks for joining me
Yeah.
today. Appreciate it. So here's the thing. You've got to be willing to believe in yourself. And you've got to be willing to believe that it's possible to achieve your dreams without knowing the entire path. And like some of my guests you've seen earlier today, surrounding yourself with like-minded individuals and mentors to guide you. We heard a lot today about a mentor maybe making a statement that made a huge shift in their belief in themselves and their belief it was possible to get what they want. It was a key factor to their success. And many times it's the glue that holds it all together. So this is part of the next principle that I want to talk about, which is stay motivated with the masters. Now, one of the key principles to success is to mastermind. Masterminding is when you meet with other people who have similar goals. They don't have to be goals in the same field, but goals to be successful, to make a difference, whatever it might be. And what you do is you meet with them and you talk about what it is you want to achieve, and then you support each other in achieving that. And so to be successful, you have to fill your life with learning, passion, and enthusiasm, and that includes surrounding yourself with people, which you can do in a very structured way to support you in getting to where you want to go. And as you can see from the guests that we've had on live today and the video clips you've been watching, everyone who's attended my events receives a fresh perspective from other people who share their success strategies and their stories with them, guiding them toward their personal evolution. So masterminding your way to success is a core success principle. And we go into this in depth at Breakthrough to Success. And one of the things that's critical is having a group of 5 to 6 people who you meet with on a regular basis, where you share your dreams, and then everybody gets to be the focus of attention for maybe 10 or 15 minutes of this hour to hour and a half meetings you have on a regular basis, so that you're getting the support, the guidance, the belief, the encouragement that you need, because most of us are out there in the world alone. We don't have a team that's supporting us, especially all of you who are solo entrepreneurs, which so many people are today. You know, one of the things that has changed my life and changed the lives of all the people you heard from today is attending a workshop or a seminar. You know, I was totally locked into my head. I didn't know any of this stuff growing up. And then I took my first seminar. Someone said, you got to go to this workshop when I was in graduate school. So I said, okay. I went and my mind was blown. It was like I looked into a world. It was like I was living in a 25-story apartment building and I didn't think there was anything above the first floor. And now I had all these other stories of that apartment building to explore. And so over the next year, I took 37 weekend workshops. Literally, the only time I wasn't in a workshop was Easter, Christmas, Hanukkah, Mother's Day, Memorial Day weekend, Labor Day. They weren't offering anything. And so it literally transformed my life. And so in order to be successful, you have to be constantly opening yourself to learning more. You have to be what I call teachable and open to learning. So remember, you are never done learning, and you're never done discovering what's possible. As one pundit once said, if you're not dead, it's not over. There's still more to learn. Okay, now I know you're all incredibly busy, and we'll wrap up here in a few minutes, but before I do, here's your 3-step action plan. Step 1, if you haven't already, start your vision board. If you already have one, then I want you to update it this year with your new goals and the things you learned here today. Step 2, I want you to write down one main thing you learned here today and make a commitment to me and to yourself that you'll begin working on it immediately. In fact, I'd like you to write down one action you're going to take and by when you're going to take it, and say it out loud to yourself right now. Literally saying it out loud will help solidify your commitment. Step 3, if these stories, these concepts, ideas, and strategies have struck a chord with you, then I want you to take the next step and act on this newfound inspiration. Take these stirring feelings that you've experienced with you into the next chapter or level in your life. And with my help, you can master them and live a life with purpose, with ease, and alignment. And who knows, maybe you'll be one of the next success stories like the ones you've heard today. Now, I hope you've been as moved as I am by all of the stories you've heard today and are willing to believe and act as if you do have the ability to create anything you want. Because when you believe success is possible for you and you take action on that belief, your life will begin to magically unfold. And you'll discover that the universe will guide you and support you. Consciously and subconsciously, you'll begin to recognize opportunities that you would normally not have seen in the past. I want to tell you about an opportunity now that can help you jumpstart that breakthrough in your life. It's called Breakthrough to Success, my 5-day program that you've heard several people refer to in this webcast. You've heard about their breakthroughs. Now it's your turn to experience those same breakthroughs for yourself. So I want to strongly encourage you to take the next step today and join me for this live training. I will personally be leading every session of this experiential training. I promise you, it's not a pitch fest or a sales seminar disguised as something else. It's truly a unique 5-day live training with me where I'll take you in depth through all of the concepts and strategies that we barely scratched the surface of today. And I want to make it clear that it's not just me talking at you or lecturing at you all day long. You're going to be fully engaged in life-changing exercises that embed these ideas and concepts deeply into your psyche, just like Velcro. The experiences are all easy, they're fun, they're dynamic, and yet they're powerfully transformational. So consider it the beginning of your own personal journey to success. And at Breakthrough to Success, you'll learn how to take control of your life and inject it with unprecedented levels of clarity, with confidence, with joy, and abundance. This is what you'll walk away with after 5 impactful days with me. How to live a life of purpose and wisdom. How to set and achieve goals with ease. How to use powerful visualization and meditation techniques. How to release your limiting beliefs. How to create successful habits. How to attract wealth into your life. And how to improve your health, your career, and your relationships. And most importantly, how to believe it's possible. See, if you've put your passions to the side for too long, or if you have yet to find them, at Breakthrough to Success, you're going to learn how to align your passions with your personal and your professional life. I'll guide you through visualizations and meditations to unlock your personal power and achieve your biggest goals and dreams. And part of that is diving deep into the spiritual side of your life, the part of you that's tied to your hopes, your dreams, your intuition, and your subconscious mind, identifying your limiting beliefs and releasing them so you can powerfully move into your future, your new future, the future you've always dreamed of. And with my help, you'll begin to create new successful habits that replace the ones that no longer serve you. And by learning how to more skillfully apply the law of attraction and taking more inspired action, you'll attract the people, the wealth, and the abundance you deserve into your life. And most importantly, you'll learn to listen to your intuition, to be more positive and mindful every day, and to have the power to ask for what you want, making you unstoppable in any situation. I promise you, this training is unlike anything you've ever experienced before. It's the culmination of over 40 years of my working with millions of people from all walks of life in more than 50 countries around the world. I've been paid millions of dollars to teach these same principles and techniques at many Fortune 500 companies. And now you can experience this same life-changing training in one of 2 beautiful settings, either in historic Philadelphia inside the nation's first ever skyscraper not far from the Liberty Bell, or in an amazing desert oasis surrounded by magical mountains and nature in Scottsdale, Arizona. No matter which location you choose, you'll have an amazing experience. And for a very limited time, when you enroll in Breakthrough to Success, you'll be invited to attend a vision board party at that event with Patty Aubrey, who you met earlier today. And as you know, Patty is the queen of vision. And during this session, she's going to walk you through creating your ultimate vision board and explain to you the powerful concepts behind it and how to apply them in your life. And of course, since it's a party, you'll have a ton of fun turning your visions into impactful words and images on your vision board with the other inspiring people who will be attending and who you'll get to meet there. And when you attend this vision board session, You'll receive your own vision boarding materials that I've designed specifically to walk you through applying the universe's most powerful law into your life without all the guesswork. You'll also receive a daily gratitude journal, a vision board kit, and much more to get you started on your journey. Now, this is a $400 value that I'll give to you completely free when you enroll today. Now, you can enjoy all this and more. Tickets start at $2,995, and I'm even offering you affordable payment plans, and I guarantee a life-changing impact, or I'll refund every penny you invest. So do yourself a favor. Take action on your upcoming breakthrough and click the button below. And take a look at my invitation to Breakthrough to Success and get my Law of Attraction system plus free attendance to the Vision Board Party. If you have any questions and would prefer to speak with a member of my team, just call the number below. They're standing by to help you. But hurry, please, and enroll today. This special offer is limited, and if it's anything like in the previous years, this event will sell out fast. Remember, only you have the power to change your life. I believe in you. And when you come to my life-changing live training, you'll also believe in yourself much more than ever before. So thanks again for joining me today. I hope you've gained some valuable tips to begin improving your life, and I look forward to seeing you at Breakthrough to Success.
Being here with Jack this week has taught me to let go of any of the fears and release the brakes that I have. And what I found is that he's helped me to feel comfortable being uncomfortable at times. And through that, I found an inner peace that's allowing me to feel like I can go out and do anything that I want to do.
What makes Jack Seminars unique among many of the others that I've been to is the level of participation of the audience. It's so strong. You don't sit in your seat for 8 hours a day and you're not talked at. You're actually drawn into the seminar, you're drawn into the information that's provided, you're drawn into the spirit of the facilitator, who is Jack Canfield. And that spirit is so strong that you can't but be transformed.
I have a level of confidence in myself that wasn't there before. I'm not sure when that arrived or where it came from, but everything's different. I've shed my retail businesses and just really focused on the passions that I buried for 30 years. And now I get to do the work that I love to do and really making a difference in people's lives. I feel like I had a successful life, but no meaning, and I didn't even know that.
So when I came here, I expected to get some really good tools and skills, and I knew it would be wonderful, but I had no idea that it would be as transformative as it really has been. Jack is one of those people that you think, maybe I'll get to brush paths with him, but no, he was on stage, he would come down, he would connect with you, he would look you in the eyes, he would make you feel like you mattered. And so one of the things that I walk away with is that when I'm out there in the world doing what I do, I'm going to be able to take that experience and translate that into the people that I meet and to the people that I work with, so they feel that kind of connection and love and warmth. And his work is transformative. This whole experience has changed my life.
I think this little, I just got much more than what I expected. And I think this is the best ever investment that I've made in my life for myself.
The enlightenment that he shares with us and how simple he phrases it and breaks it down for us, it's like you look at him as this guru, but he's telling you can be the same way.
The reason that every person should come to this seminar is because they will find their true calling and their true inner voice to be able to go out into the world and achieve any goal that they'd like to set for themselves.
And stepping into my own power and being of service to the world, I'm showing my daughters that it is okay to follow your passion and follow your dreams, and I allow them to expand and be curious and use their imagination and share their gifts with the world.